everyone. Certainly hope you're doing well out there. Today we're going to learn how to play Bad Penny by the late great Irish guitarist Rory Gallagher. Now, if you're a beginner or intermediate guitarist who's struggling to play a song all the way through, you know, one that has numerous solos in it and whatnot, then this is the perfect track to learn. Easy rhythm parts with, you know, some basic cowboy chords, a few power chords that don't change or vary a whole lot throughout its runtime. Lots of little solo-y bits that are relatively easy to play as well. Plus it's Rory Gallagher, one of the greatest blues rock guitarists of all time. And thankfully, Bad Penny, arguably his most well-known track, just happens to be one of his most accessible for the beginner, maybe late stage beginner to intermediate guitar player. Like I said, the perfect track to learn all the way through. Plus it's got a great underlying rhythm in D minor for improvising some basic D minor pentatonic soloing should you wish to do so. So then, without further ado, if you're ready to learn some Rory Gallagher, let's dig in to Bad Penny, shall we? But first, let's close in here a little bit on the fretboard. All right then, Bad Penny by Rory Gallagher. We are in standard tuning for this tutorial, and for the most part, throughout this entire track, we're using three chords. We're using D, the D chord, F major, C, back to D, with little embellishments here and there. Now, Rory is one of these guys. He's one of these guys who likes to play his F major chord with his thumb over the top for the root note there, and then the rest of his F major chord there with the rest of his fingers, right? Instead of a full F major bar chord, he uses his thumb over the top. I don't like doing that. I find it really uncomfortable. I can do it, but I don't like it. So I prefer just to go for the full F major chord. So we're going from D up to F major into C before going back to D. Now the track starts off with some mutes before going into the riff. Now, those mutes are just kind of like 1 and a 2 and a 1, 2, 3, 4. You got that? 1 and a 2 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So we're going right into a D from the mutes, up to F major, into C. Now when we're in C, we're going to be doing little embellishments here with our middle finger, which is on the 2nd fret of the D string as part of our C chord here. And we're going to be kind of doing this before going back into D. But we're not just hitting the single note, we're kind of strumming the A string, D string, G string all together before going back into D, right? So. And at the very beginning, he grabs a couple of C notes here at the 3rd fret of the A string before going back into the riff. Right there. So you repeat that riff twice at the very beginning before going into the first little solo bit. It's not really a solo, it's more like a melody line, this here. Just the same thing repeated twice, pulling off 7 to 5 of the G, back onto 7, and then 6, 8 of the B. And when you hit that, you're going to raise it a full step. You're not going to pick it again. You're going to pick it once and then raise it. And when you get it up there, you're going to pick it and release it. Off to 6. So you really want to get that pre-bend release feel. Back to 5, back onto 6, and then a little trill between 5 and 6, back off to 5, and then finish on the 7 of the G. And then you repeat it. now we're into the first verse, back to the opening riff. Now, while he's playing that riff, while he's singing the first verse, he's not really doing these little embellishments. And he's not grabbing that note either. He's just going straight from D up to F major, down to C, back to D. And you repeat it 4 times for the first verse. And now we're into the second little melody line. It's the exact same thing we were just playing here. But now we're going to do it an octave higher. Now we're on the 13 and the 15 of the B, and the 13 and 15 of the high E. But it starts, before we get into this, he starts with 2 bends at the 13th fret. And then slides into 15 and starts the melody line. Exactly the same thing we were doing back here. But now we're doing it on the 13s and 15s of the B and the high E. Back to 12, back to 13, trill, finish on the 15 of the B. Back in for the second verse. And during the second verse is when he starts throwing in little fill leads, like just here on the 13s and 15s of the D minor. I didn't mention this, but we're working, we're in D. I've already determined that, but we're soloing all of these little solo-y bits. They're all in D minor. And again, here, the 13s and 15s are the D minor scale. Right here, right? So he's doing little fills. Bending the 15. And then another time he grabs that 15, does it 3 or 4 times. And you can just fool around in the pentatonic, just grab anything in the pentatonic, give some nice bends for little fills and whatnot. Just, fool around with that part there. But, and then, we're back in for the second verse. Just straight D, F major, C, back to D, 4 more times. And then we're into the third melody line. And this time we're starting it here, the original position. We're only going to do it once there, and now we're going to jump up and do it at the octave for the second one. Exact same thing, just an octave higher. And now we're into the first, what we can actually call a solo. So that's the first solo, pretty short, and we're working in the D minor pentatonic, way up here on the 17, 19, 20 frets. That little box right there. So we start sliding into a 19 of the G, quick grab of 18 of the B string, right into a full step bend of 20 of the B. Now you're going to pick that again when it's fully bent and then get a nice pre-bend release. Release it back off to 18. Right back into another full step bend to 20. Now you're going to drop your ring finger on the 20th fret of the high E string. You're going to grab that note, re-bend the B string, and grab that note again. Kind of like that. And then one final bend of the 18th fret, sorry, 20th fret of the B string. So it's 3 bends of the 20th fret. The first 2 times you're going to grab the 20th fret of the high E. And those bends on the B string, lots of vibrato. One more bend. And then you're going to do a trill between 18 and 20, slide it back to 17. Now back onto 18, and then a trill between 17 and 18 before winding up on the 19 of the G. Kind of like that. Now we're going to go 17, 19, 18 of the B, back on to 19 of the G, and that finishes the short solo from the beginning. All right, and that's the first solo. Now we're into the bridge. So we're into a 3-finger C power chord, up to G, back to C. Now move it down 2 places to A sharp, back to C, and hit that twice. In my performance of it, I do some mutes there instead of going back to C, and they sound really good. So if you're playing the bridge, you can do mutes instead of going back to C, and it sounds really good. It's not what he's doing on the studio version, but back to A sharp. Back into the riff. But what he's actually doing in the studio version during the bridge is just going back to C and I think hitting it twice. That's another little fill that you can throw in there when you're in the C or when you're in the D. You know, just using your middle finger on the 3rd of the A and the B string. But again, you know, it's very loose, so you want to be hitting more than one string. Kind of like that, right? So now we're into like the 3rd verse, right? And it repeats 8 times for the 3rd verse. There's 2 verses in one for the 3rd verse. He just keeps on going, and then we go back into the bridge again. Back into that 4 more times. And now after you repeat that 4 more times, you're into the outro solo, which is this. At this point, it's all fading out. Other guitars and other lead solo guitars playing over top of this. It's almost impossible to hear what he's doing because not only is it fading out, but there's 2 guitars playing on top of, soloing on top of each other. So we're not really going to get into that. You can just riff in the D minor pentatonic at this point and improvise if you like. But up to about that point, we can cover. So it starts right here with that first lick. 19 off to 17. Right back onto 19 of the G string, and you're going to hit that 3 times. And then you're going to go 18, 20 of the B. right into a full step bend. You're going to pick that 20 and then you're going to pick it again and give it a full step bend. Now you're going to give it a bend release off to 18, right into a big full step bend at 20 of the high E. Now we're going to bend that again. You're going to release it back to the natural note at 20 and then rebend it. And then give it one more bend. And then you're going to release it and pull it off to 17. Right into that. Back up to 20 of the B. Bend, release, pick it again, and then off to 18, then off to 17. Back onto 18, back off to 17, finish on the 19 of the G. Off to 17, back onto 19. And that finishes that lick. So from the beginning. All right, and these bends, lots of vibrato, right? So, like right there. Now we're going to go 18, 20 again of the B. Pick it, and then pick it again and give it a full step bend. And then up, and then pick it at the top, and then give it a pre-bend release. Off to 18, back onto 20. Now a little trill, and then slide back to 17. And then into this. So 18 onto 20, down to 17 of the high E, and then 20 off to 17 twice. Back onto 20, full step bend. So that's that lick. Now we're going to stay there. So you're just going to bend that a good 5-6 times, bend releases, right? And then one final bend. And then we're back into the main melody line in this position. Twice. And this is pretty much when it starts fading out. So let's recap up to that point from the final solo, nice and slow. Now this is when he just starts riffing in the D minor, moves back up here into this position on the 18s and 20s. You know, and then you can just riff in the D minor pentatonic as long as you like, and you can move down here. And just improvise. And that, my friends, is the end of the song, and that is how you play Bad Penny by Rory Gallagher. I certainly hope that helped you out. Were you looking to learn this great classic Rory Gallagher track? Please drop me a subscribe if you haven't done that already. That would be awfully nice. Hit that notification bell so you know when I upload something new. And you guys take care of yourselves. Hope you're well out there in your little guitar corner of the world, wherever that may be. And we'll see you next time. Cheers.